Coming to you from Crow's Nest Studios in the upper room. Two brothers from the DMV. We're going to give you an appetizer. We're going to give you an entree. And we're going to give you a dessert. And we're going to cover these substantive topics that give you food for thought on something that we like to call order. Brother, what's happening?
Man, I'm great. I'm great, man. How about you?
I'm happy, but I'm sad.
Right?
I'm happy because we had a hell of a run. I'm sad that it's over.
Right.
I wish there was a storybook ending to the season that we had, and that would be our appetizer for today, the wrapping up of our Washington Commanders season. Um, it was a hell of a run, but we just
Yeah.
couldn't do the crucible of playing the NSA championship error free. Uh,
Right.
in the playoffs, turnovers are detrimental.
Yeah.
And he learned that valuable lesson. As Coach Quinn said, they now have scar tissue
That's
that
right.
they're still doing. So, what's your thoughts?
Same thing. We have to take the bitter with the sweet. And congratulations to Philadelphia. They played the better game, so they're advancing. But we did have an amazing season. Um, I personally don't believe in moral victories.
We've said
Um,
countless times.
right. But from a organizational standpoint, it is very encouraging what we experienced this season compared to the last 30 plus years. So,
Destination numero uno for free.
numero uno, yeah. And I was telling you, I hope history repeats itself because the last time we lost the conference championship game in 1986, the following year we won the Super Bowl. So
Yes, sir.
hopefully history will repeat itself in that regard. But
Sir. I'm looking forward. So yeah.
yeah,
Um yeah, I'm excited about the opportunities that we're going to have, and I am very interested in what we do with free agencies. There's a couple of things that I would personally like to see,
mhm,
because we had a lot of people that were on 1 year contracts, and I'm hearing a narrative from the pundits, the player pundits, that they're not mentioning Zach Ertz's name, and I think that would be a huge detriment
mhm.
to the franchise if they don't bring him back. I'm lobbying here right now, February 1st, 2025. Bring
Yeah,
back Zach Ertz into that tight end locker room, even if you draft more tight ends, but
right.
uh, bring him back at least on a 1 year deal. Um, Bobby, I know, is coming back. Louisville's under contract, and we only have one wide receiver besides Terry McLaurin under contract, and that is McCaffrey. So everybody else will have to fight for it if they want to stay here. I mean, even McCaffrey will have to fight for it, but
Yeah,
we need another. And there's a lot of speculation on players. I don't think we need to go get a $30 million a year wide receiver. Um, and you can stop me at any time as I ramble, but I think our need is on the defensive line to put pressure on quarterbacks. I think we should relieve ourselves of the contracts of Payne and Allen for the production that they've given us for what they cost our cap. I think they both had collectively 2 and 3 sacks, total of 5 sacks for last year. If you can correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of that, with
Um,
an asterisk next to Allen because of his
Injury.
injury situation and the
Um,
games that he missed.
but when you have the premier uh, sack people that are playing the defensive line getting 17, 18 sacks. The production for the cost, and there's not a big gap between. I mean, that tandem is the most expensive tandem in the NFL, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So, so it's a business standpoint, and they
Yeah.
did not impress me last year. But I am just, a watcher. But if I was looking at it from a business perspective, I see that, you fight for your numbers during a contract year, and then production has fallen off the last several years.
Right.
And he did not play in the game that mattered the most,
Yeah.
which is the conference championship, about his knee. So, and he called his number during warmups or something. When I watched the center for Philly, back problems and knee problems, come out and play the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel. It's uh, just me accepting character players, and God, hey, these men put their bodies on the line.
That's right.
But put your body on the line. You getting paid millions of dollars
Yeah.
on the line. So I can say that from perspective that I put my body on the line every day when I go out to work. I've been walking on a foot that I didn't even know had a bad nerve in it for 6 months, fighting through the pain, go to work and provide a living for myself and my family. I'll be having surgery on March 12th, for the cutting of the plantar fasciitis muscle and the releasing and cutting of a nerve. I thought it was going to be a scope. And I started talking to you about it earlier, but I didn't give you the
Yeah.
detail. Giving you the details now. And they're going to do an incision. So it's going to be a cut surgery versus a scope surgery. Uh, but cut me, you know. Um, and but I managed that pain. Um, and I managed going to work with pneumonia because I had to keep a job. So these guys, I don't want to hear about tough. You know, I don't want to hear about tough because I'm tailor made from the DMV. And like I said, I went to work with pneumonia so that I could keep a job. And I was off work from my day job for about 3 days because I didn't want to get anybody sick. But I wore a mask having walking pneumonia on my night job, barking like a dog. And that was one of the things where I wanted to go to the Caribbean to clear my lungs and get that vitamin D to solidify it getting out of my system.
Right.
Um, but be that as it may, it's potatoes when you're talking about millionaires. Payne, if he walked in the room, could whip my ass in 3 seconds flat, and Allen, because they're men, but I'm gonna get my licks in.
Right.
And uh, especially with this USMC training, they might outweigh me by 200 pounds, but I ain't going down without a fight.
Yeah.
But my commentary to them is, you know, I respect what you tried to do. I respect him coming back with a torn pectoral. But if you on that field, I need you to dominate. And
Yeah.
I don't need you to take on double teams. I need you to take on double teams and win over those double teams and get to the quarterback.
Right.
That's my expectation of excellence for what you're being paid.
Right. And,
Um, Go ahead.
and one could say before the injury, um, there wasn't the results that,
Expectations were big.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, before the injury. So,
So that's the defensive line. And I think we need to get a solidified offensive line and depth.
hmm
I think we need to get an outside corner
mm,
and maybe a safety. I would really like Sanders still in year two in his sophomore year to play in his natural position in the slot.
right, right,
And I think with $100 million in cap space and the team that they have, they're already at the Senior Bowl scouting. Logan Paulson did a live thing. Adam Peters is there, Doug Williams, and another guy from the college scout consortium group that we have. are at the Senior Bowl
Yeah.
um, in Alabama, and this week. So Terry and Jaden opted not to go to the Pro Bowl.
Hmm.
It's back to work.
That's right.
So it was shake it off. Let's get to work. So they'll probably take some personal time. I think, and one of the things I think also why they're not going to the Pro Bowl, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just me speculating. Because there's been so much politicizing of the California wildfires from the new administration, money in California and private investors in California have taken the initiative to start doing the removal and rehabilitation for California, for LA,
Hmm.
which is one of the wealthiest cities in our country because of Hollywood. Um, and Magic Johnson is spearheading as part of that consortium to get things done in LA at the urban level and the removal level. And we talked about it offline, but the biggest thing you want to deal with when you're dealing with burns like that is the contaminants that could impact the area for people that didn't get impacted so they can get back in their homes. And you don't want the, if anybody's familiar with the lowlands of LA and why LA is so expensive, is because you're paying for the location.
Hmm.
And I can pull up pictures and show you pictures of me with my boy in, Monterey and uh uh what's the other famous beach where all the celebrities where they have all these beach homes on the coast. It begins with an M. Uh
Malibu.
Malibu. I can show you pictures of me in Malibu this time last year
Hmm.
with my partner and that lives out there. And what you want to do is you want to get the contaminants off the ground and off the water table so it doesn't impact the water table as soon as possible. Because when it starts raining, guess what happens? It's got to run somewhere and it's got to be absorbed by somewhere. So you had all that burning that burnt cars, batteries, you know, pumps, everything. So it's just a mess. So that has to be handled as soon as possible. So Magic Johnson is spearheading the private aspect of it all. And I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of it, but Magic, of course, is the owner of the Commanders,
Right.
and Jaden is from the LA area. So I think that he's probably going to use his star power for a more worthy cause, which is LA strong versus playing flag football at a Pro Bowl engagement for the weekend. So,
Right.
and I'm sure he needs to heal and get his mental together because he wants excellence
Yeah.
and he's the face of our franchise. So I don't begrudge him for not showing up, even though he got the most Pro Bowl votes. I don't begrudge him for not showing up because I think these are special circumstances. And I think
Yeah.
these are different times now. You don't
Yeah.
have to do every appearance as a rookie. And if you notice, his appearances are very controlled. Then does that mean he's not going to be popping out on T-Mobile commercials and this commercial and that commercial soon? No, that's not what it means. I'm sure that's coming. But I'm thinking that he wanted to take this off season to get right and stay right.
Right.
So that's just my opinion from a perspective of what's going on. And it's going to be interesting to see. Um, I'm going to watch the Grammys tonight to see what the initiatives are coming out because they have the platform now. They have the bully pulpit tonight with the Grammy Awards. I mean Sunday night. I'm sorry, today's Saturday, Sunday night. Um, and the world will be looking at Hollywood to see how they present their platform. So that'll be interesting to see. My heart goes out from a disaster services standpoint because I worked for disaster services for 6 years with the American Red Cross. So I was in impact areas where there were hurricanes and explosions and fires and stuff. So I understand the importance of quickly turning that around, at least getting the removal part done. That doesn't have to be the rebuild, but the removal part to deal with contamination so that the people who weren't impacted could get back to a sense of normalcy, and then the builders can get in and not build in a contaminated zone, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I'm excited about next season with all that said and done. So, we had a good season. We touched on we're into the postseason. We're into, the next season. No rest for the weary. And, we're 8 months away from preseason,
Yeah.
which will be probably with our new studio covering in the field. That's what I wanted to allude to too. You and I had talked about some stuff that my production studios will be doing, um, growing wise and producing multiple podcasts. That's another evolution that I'm getting to. But part of it is being able to be remote,
Right.
and have a production staff here at Crow's Nest Studios, while one of us are satellite or both of us are on site. Um, so this area outside of where I'm sitting right now will grow into this is the upper room, but Crow's Nest Studios is actually the other aspect of it. This is the control room where I'm sitting now. But the main studio, as you know, Reg, because you've been here before, and production area is one room over. Um, and that will have state of the art cameras, switching devices, hardware, and things of that nature, and the infrastructure to do remote. Um, Excited about that, which is another segue into our entree. Um, that I would like to talk about. One of the projects that I'm going to produce here on Order Up, a series that's going to open the doors and kind of be like the preamble to a new. I don't know if you want to talk about the new podcast, or did you want to wait?
We can wait, but we can just say that, there's a new project in the works, and
I'll
I'm
be
ex
I'll be in the background. You'll be in the foreground.
you'll be in the background, but for me, I'm excited about it for two reasons. One, because it's a new project that I will be doing with talking about specific things in that. But I'm also excited because it fulfills the vision of you hosting and doing multiple podcasts.
I appreciate that.
And in my personal opinion, Ray U Beats is flat out the best, hands down, no questions asked. And so it's a joyous thing for me in two senses, that I'm doing a new project, but also that it's fulfilling a purpose and a vision that you had as well.
Because
So
I
excited
like
about that.
doing content, but I really like being an executive producer and a producer.
Hmm.
But I enjoy this immensely. Um, excuse me. Um, so yeah, so those are rapidly in the works. But one of the series that we're getting ready to start, and what I want to talk to you about this entree is I want to take our listeners and our community on a journey with me. Um, and it's going to be a year journey with me starting now. Um, and what we will do within several shows will be the series of growth, because we do a lot behind the scenes and we've been growing exponentially behind the scenes. But I think I want to bring some light onto how you make a mogul, or how you make someone who can give a master class on whatever topic. And my passion and my love in one of the hobbies and vein areas of my life is education. Um, as the son of a teacher, and somebody who embraces and values education from all tentacles and directions, but mainly academia. I am excited to take folks on this journey with me because, there's some people out there that say, hey, if I did this, oh, I don't know if I can do this, and da 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 da. I'll be 58 years old this year. You know what I'm saying? You're
Yeah.
never too old.
Hmm.
It's how motivated you are.
Right.
Um, I had to get off the phone with my daughter today because she's in a pity party mode, and I didn't want to say the wrong thing as someone who she holds in high regard. Um, and I check the pulse with all my children before I have conversations with them because I understand how fragile Gen Z is generationally, emotionally. Um, and even though sometimes my kids think they're tough skinned, they can't take what I'm dishing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. No.
and I'm excited personally about the path that I'm doing because I lead from the front and I lead by example. So I'm registered for my MBA. I will be taking. I guess I'm considered full time for spring and summer. For the spring session, I'm considered full time, but for the summer session, I'm part time. But I'll probably be full time because I'll probably add one more class in the summer if I'm comfortable. Because right now, in the spring session, I'm taking 9 credits, which is 3 classes on a 30 credit degree master's. It's an MBA. So I'm registered to do 15 credits by the end of July, August. Um, some people will be like, that's a lot. To me, it's not because how my mind works. It moves. And Reggie, you know this talking off camera because there's a certain persona that I present on here, but you know how deep and how disciplined I am
Right.
when it comes to doing things and taking on new things. So I want to make this MBA fun and I want to, do some certain things. And one of the areas that I want to get sharp in with the finance aspect of my MBA is building my portfolio real time through the podcast. Um, Building a new dimension of my portfolio with investment strategies and market strategies, specifically utilizing both sides of multiple sides of the market,
Yeah.
whether it be futures with one,
Hmm.
and then the regular investing through like a Robinhood account or whatever account, and just tracking and increasing, investments by plain long term or short term stocks.
Right.
So I got a little bit to play with to do that. Um, I'm gonna get my candle knowledge in order. Uh, for those of you who don't know those terms, so that I can deal with my future trading, whether it be the S&P and the Nasdaq, and understand the yields and how to do all that. We're going to go on those journeys, and I'm doing that in conjunction with my master's. So I'm taking a master class from my brothers on how to invest and get smart in that and paper trade and get comfortable with doing that. And I am going to be working on my MBA at the same time while still doing this business and developing my software business through my other applications and
Right.
going to work on a regular basis. So those are some of the juggling things that I do as an entrepreneur, as a person that has to have 5 to 7 plates up in the air. And it's not overwhelming to me at my age. It's natural to me because it's muscle memory. Now, some people can't walk and chew gum at the same time, but I'm going to take people on this journey on the business side of what I'm doing to kind of motivate people and talk about trends and things that they could be doing and co-opting from my example and our examples, Reggie, uh,
Right.
where it's all rooted in my faith to increase my finances. I like how that rings. That's a little teaser, y'all.
Yeah, it's a little teaser.
But it's important, I think, this year
Hmm.
with this season that we're in, Reggie, to speak to our community and speak to the people who support us and bless them with the knowledge that we have, because it's a blessing for us to have that knowledge, and it's a gift. And a closed hand can't receive a blessing. So if you
Right.
open these hands, and you've heard me say it many times, if you open this knowledge, and I'm about sharing knowledge and spreading knowledge, uh,
Right.
especially about wealth and financial independence. Because right now, really what I want to allude to in this topic, without getting it into in the weeds of partisanship, party, what's the, how am I trying to say this word? You know, my being partisan.
Yes.
um, I want to talk about the uncertainty that people have across the spectrum that's going on right now in the first 10, 20 days of the current administration, with everything that's going on, and the potential for people to lose their jobs and people to in the government, which is our community, meaning the DMV as a whole, is going to be mightily impacted, because that is the business in Washington, D.C. The federal government is the driving uh, uh, industry
Right.
for
Economic
this
force.
economic force for this city. So when you have such a fundamental change that is happening, right, wrong, or indifferent, people are going to have to figure out really, really quick
Right.
other opportunities. And I personally don't want to have 3, 4 part-time jobs and exhausted and out the house 18 hours a day and only sleeping 4 or 5 hours a day. I'm too old for that.
Right.
I want to be like some of my contemporaries, present company included, where I have multiple $1,000 days and close my laptop.
Right. Right.
And I want to be able to explore the opportunities within this climate that will help me generate wealth, irrespective of who's holding the amount of seats in the Senate and the Congress or the bully pulpit as the president. I want to be above that economically, because I'm not going to nobody's golf club, country club home and kissing nobody's ring.
Right.
I'm going to rock with who got me to the party.
Mhm.
And that's me and the people I surround myself with. And that's the first thing I want to speak to is I listen to all these people who are freaking out here in our community. And last week I had a conversation with someone. I'm looking at our time. Um, I had a conversation with someone last week. His partner was freaking out, like having survivor remorse. But at first she was boasting about it, but then she was having survivor's remorse about having a job. I'm like, first of all, your emotions need to be out of that equation. You got a damn job, and your government job. You're not a DEI employee. She had left the agency that was predominantly DEI.
Mm.
She negotiated her new job where she didn't have to be a probationary employee as a federal employee. So it was just a lateral move where
Okay.
10 years experience got her into that position.
Okay.
So she's not affected. She's
Mm.
not on anybody's list. She's not going to the OPM to be shortlisted or anything like that. Where inversely, I mean, I don't want to say inversely, where in my household circumstances, my wife was on the list, the OPM list.
Oh wow.
to be terminated after
Wow.
having 18 years at the FBI. Then she went
Wow.
to another agency, and she's like a year and 15 months into that agency. But and the organization she works with is a partisan organization that changes with the administration. So the Democrats were running the organization she was in, and then the Republicans came in and started to transition in last week, and they took her off the list because they recognized that she was invaluable to that organization. So I say that to say two things. You can't worry about what's beyond your control, period, full stop.
Mm-hmm.
And what God has for you is for you, full stop.
Mm-hmm.
So, what a lot of people do, and this is what I had in a conversation with my friend about his girlfriend. I said, a lot of people take the stuff to the altar, give it to the Lord, and they take it back.
Wow.
And then they rehearse about things that they have no clue about.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I understand about our government and what this current administration is understanding about our government. It's real easy to be a Monday morning quarterback or Fox News quarterback or MSNBC quarterback when you really don't know how the government works. It's
Mm-hmm.
real easy till you get in. And everybody has a plan, as Mike Tyson said, till they get punched in the motherfucking mouth.
Right.
So the thing about government and politics is it's a scrum. It's supposed to be a scrum, especially when you're in a 2-party or 3-party system. It's supposed to be give and take. And it's not supposed to be tribal. It's supposed to be give and take for the sake of consensus and positive discourse to litigate and create laws if that's your job, execute the laws if you're in the executive branch, and the judiciary law branch, you enforce the laws because those are the 3 co-equal bodies of our democracy. Last time I checked, judiciary, executive, and legislative. So, is it broken?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Is it tribal? Absolutely. We don't have to pinpoint the dates when it got to that. We know it's evolved to that right now. And that's the state we're in. Is there going to be a course correction and a level setting of what's going on? Absolutely. Because this is a country created by lawyers and managed by lawyers. So what does that mean? There's going to be a lot of litigation until it's level sets to where it needs to be. But what individuals have to understand is don't get caught up in that. That's
Mm-hmm.
your job is to show up for work every day until you can't. And not rehearse anything about that. And as you would so eloquently say, don't let that impact your overall goal of who you are and how you're going to generate your wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have alluded to this, and you can check our receipts. We started our podcast talking about 7 streams of income.
Right.
7 streams of income. And this is one that hasn't come to monetization yet, but you're wearing one of your streams of income.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And with the production of podcasts and me starting to produce podcasts, that's a stream of income for me.
Right.
My day job is a stream of income. My IT companies is a stream of income. My
Mm-hmm.
consulting services are a stream of income. Okay. So getting up to those 7 levels, whether it be a pension or whatever, is get those streams of income.
Right.
And the market is about to become a stream of income when I transition from paper trading to actual trading in the futures and investing in the stock market, which is going to roll out in several weeks. So the journey that I want to take everybody on is kind of kind of a symbiotic relationship between the educational aspect of me doing my MBA and getting that knowledge, and then gaining that knowledge financially, for to ultimately create financial independence. Now, I would like you to speak to about, can Reggie, can you articulate on a laptop close kind of day?
Um, a laptop kind of closed day idealistically would be, um, let's say you can log on to the market and you can make a trade, and let's say before 9:30, you can
AM.
before 9:30 a.m. you can make $10,000 in say less than 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's a
That's
laptop kind of.
that's a laptop kind of closing day, right?
That's the definition of what we're talking about.
And
And Reggie, is that unrealistic?
absolutely not. And the power, if you understand about trading, $1,000 trade is the same as the principles of making the trade is the same. So I could make the same trade as, say, Jelani.
Mhm.
Jelani could make 40,000 on that trade, and I could make 4,000 on the trade, and it's the exact same trade. Just the difference is the account size that we're dealing with. So
Because you got micro and you have micro, right?
you had the micro and
How
then you had a mini,
many
but then it's
accounts that you can set up to do that
right and the amount that you're using. So
on a
to sum
standard?
it up,
Yeah.
yeah, to sum it up and make it simple, if you know how to successfully make a $400 trade, let's just keep it simple.
Mhm.
If you know how to successfully make a $400 trade, then you know how to make a $400,000 trade. The only difference is the account size. It's just the same principle.
But
In
yeah,
other words,
the
it's
muscle
nothing.
memory of
Right.
doing it successfully.
Right. You're not doing anything different as far as your trading strategy. You're not doing anything different. It just depends on the the trading account size that you're using. But the encouraging thing is if 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 you know how to do it, then you can do it at any size. Once your account grows,
Yeah.
yeah. So
It,
you
it,
can,
it scales. It
it
scales.
scales.
And it's just your confidence,
It's your confidence. So, an
and,
example,
and understanding the candles.
is understand, I made $2,000 trades in both both in less than 3 minutes.
Hmm. Now,
If my account,
for me, stop right there.
okay,
For me, on my bad foot to make $2,000,
in less than 60 minutes.
unless let's say in my current employment situations with working two jobs would take a week.
Right.
And what you're doing in 6 minutes,
Six
I would put
minutes.
my body in
Right.
damage my body even more. So you
So
guys,
three clicks of the mouse, maybe, in
Mhm.
6 minutes.
So we want to help y'all understand and break that mental barrier to make it advantageous to be in the position that he's already in and I'm putting myself in.
But the crazy thing is that $1,000 trade could have been 10.
Yeah.
It could have been 100. The only difference would have been the amount that I'm using.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the encouraging thing, right? It's nothing technically changes. Once you learn how to successfully trade, none of the technical aspect of the trade changes. It's just a matter of how much you're trading with. And the
And
more
making
you
sure
trade with,
more you trade with, making sure how you dot all your I's and cross all your T's based off all the contracts you in.
right?
That's it.
Yeah. So in theory,
And then that's
it's
that. That's it in its simplicity. But go ahead.
right. In theory, that 2,006 minutes could have been 20,000. Now you think about that.
Mm-hmm.
20,000 in 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Think about this.
That's
Think
only
about this.
right.
200,000 in
Right.
6 minutes.
And now you up into Josh Harris area. You know what I'm saying? Did you go back and look at that video when he was doing the thing for Daryl Green and he had all the stuff up in the background?
No, you mentioned it, but I hadn't gone back.
Go back and check that
But
video out.
now this is a disclaimer. It's not saying that the results you get vary,
Yeah,
but what we're speaking to is the possibility.
possibility. And look, this is better than Lotto. And what is the Lotto slogan? You got to play to win, right?
Right.
You got to put the energy into it and invest into it in order to reap the benefits of it. So I rather educate myself because I consider myself a fairly smart person and a fairly motivated person to learn something that's going to generate another stream or two of income for me to open up doors to do even more.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm working with $10,000, right?
Right.
I'm just throwing round numbers out. And I want to take everybody on a journey and educate them as I'm going through the journey.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And am I going to make mistakes? Yeah. But I'm not going to gamble. First of all, you know I'm not a gambler.
Right.
I play around, but I'm not a gambler. So I'm not going to bet on myself and bet anything that I'm willing to lose. So I'm going to do my due diligence to be smart about this before I even go into live trading.
And that's the advantage of paper trading. And if
Right.
you don't mind, Ray, can I say one thing about that gambling? The problem investing as a whole, and specifically in our African American community, people who did not know and understand it deemed it gambling.
Yeah.
And
But the point I'm making from a metaphor standpoint is I want to be a producer versus a consumer.
exactly.
And gambling or waging or sports betting or however you want to do,
Yeah.
that's a consumption.
Yeah.
What
I
I'm doing,
just, yeah.
and you can benefit from it if you know
Yeah.
how to work it. Because
Yeah.
most gamblers will be really good financial traders, and we know some that's transitioning into that.
Right. I just want to tear down the false concept.
Right. That's
Gambling is pulling we covered this. Gambling is pulling a slot machine.
mhm,
That's 100% random.
mhm,
Gambling is rolling
the dice.
dice. That's 100% gambling. Okay, so now if we talk about investing, let's talk about long-term investing. If your business had a profit in year one, your business had a profit in year two, your business had a profit in year three, and I decide to invest in your business, is that gambling?
No, that's smart business. Which
Because you have a track record, like we have something to measure,
to measure by, yeah.
right? So that's that's not gambling. Is that taking a risk? It doesn't mean because you were profitable in those previous years
Gonna be a year for you.
that did you yeah, it
There's a risk.
doesn't, it's no, so there's a risk, but that is not gambling.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
there's a distinction that people don't, who don't really understand it. They don't make or understand the distinction, especially in the African American community. And this is why so many in our community do not invest, because
they'll,
they have
they'll
been
they'll they'll
falsely.
they'll go to Nana, who maybe has some bonds over time, and work 50 years to save up her retirement. And that's not who you go to for financial advice.
Yeah.
That's
I
just like
mean,
talk to a manhole for financial advice. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Unless Nana, and there are some Nanas that are in futures in the market. Don't get me wrong. Not all Nanas are built equal.
yeah,
But in our community, the trend has been work all your life till you're damn near dead, and then
right,
try to reap those little bit of benefits.
right.
Work really, really hard.
Reduce your life to live off of Social Security.
Right. or maybe a pension or double social security pension and disability, whatever.
You know, in the current generation, they don't do pensions no more. So,
Right. But I'm just
uh,
talking, speaking
yeah,
of
in
elder.
general, yeah,
So my point is work smart, like our white, Asian, Indian, Asian, Anglo-Saxon, Jewish contemporaries are doing, because this is what they're doing to create wealth.
right. But we're not. For whatever
We're
reason,
not.
they're not in our community, and that's why we want to, try to educate and make people aware.
Yeah.
Listen, I didn't learn how to make trades overnight.
No.
It took time.
Yeah.
One of
As a
the
matter
things,
of fact,
another
the
thing too,
hiatus of this show was
right,
potentially partially because you were in the lab.
right, and when I first started out, it was Chinese to me.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Literally.
But just people need to think about it like this: anything can be learned. It really can. If you believe,
Desire is there.
if your
And,
desire is there. If
mm-hmm.
the desire is there, listen, there were plenty times where I was frustrated. Um, it felt like I couldn't learn this. It felt like that. There were plenty, but anything can be learned.
Mm-hmm.
Anything.
I get that. We got to clap that up.
So the common denominator that we had in closing, the common denominator that I spoke to you, that people who build wealth have one common denominator amongst them, and it's that they invest. And what you invest in could vary, but they invest.
And they
And
and there's so many things you can invest in. You just find something you like and you work with it,
right,
or
but that's the key,
you find something that you feel that's going to be beneficial, and
right?
you work with it.
That's the
So
key.
that's the key. That's the key.
Invest.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So we want to have people in, investing. Our communities get them investing. Get our children. Um, my brother, he is getting ready to work with his 11-year-old son,
Mm-hmm. And
teaching him about investing. His 11-year-old son and his, I believe, 7-year-old daughter have purchased share slices.
slices.
Yeah,
When we
they
talk about
purchased
the minis
slices.
and
Yeah,
macros, yeah.
they purchased slices of companies. But they're being brought up in a way that he was not.
Right,
You
right.
know what I mean? And so,
In a way that we were not.
in a way that we were not. So we're hoping to bring up the next generation out to change.
And that's why I want to have my partner Tony on, because I saw it firsthand in his household. His 18-year-old daughter, Set,
Hmm.
she's probably been doing it since she was 12.
Hmm.
That's 5 years. So imagine if you get excited about it and you have a 5 year run in your teens
Hmm.
living in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. And that's where certain families and people are. And
Mm.
we're just trying to get our community on that wavelength.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, brother, I just want to, as we close out, say I'm excited about the journey. Like I said, in our shows and where we're going in different topics, because we got to fill the void till next season.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to these upcoming shows and having people on and talking about different things and becoming financially literate in 2025 to rise above everything and create that situation for yourself on your own merit, because you're capable. You're able, and all you got to do is put in the work. And it's not as hard as you think. So we're signing off now. We want to send y'all much love here on Order.
Order.